Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to the Journey to Greatness, day 225 of 365 with David McDonald, the GOAT. Happy Monday, best day of the week. Alrighty. I will see you guys on the other side after this meditation routine. Welcome back. Good morning, Auntie. Good morning, Liz. Brandon, good morning. Hey, I visited one of your listings over the weekend. I was like, oh, Brandon, that's my boy. Okay, so we're getting into our reading routine. We just finished our meditation routine. So I will see you guys on the other side. Excuse me. Gosh darn it. I just remembered something. Jeez. Beautiful. All right, my friends, welcome back. Dude, love you, brother. Thank you. Blessings to you, received and reciprocated. Miss Miner, good morning. So we just got out of our reading routine, and we're getting into our journaling routine now. So in our journaling routine, I usually like to start off by writing about what I'm most grateful for. And in the morning, that is, I'm grateful for waking up and being in perfect health. So I recognize those two things first. And then for anybody who's joining us for the first time, I go back to yesterday or I think about what's to happen today. And I find gratitude in my experiences, the people I was able to meet, the feelings I was able to have. And then in terms of manifesting anything I wish to have, in the later date, I write those goals down too. And so it's just a good way to, again, really track exactly where your thoughts are, get the thoughts out of your head down on paper, and clear some of that great mental space so that you can create a little bit more. So with that, if you have any questions, please let me know. And otherwise, I'll see you guys on the other side. All right, my friends, welcome back. So, yesterday, we didn't have much discussion, but we started the chapter, which is the pain body, chapter 5, the pain body, which is really, really important. Primarily because when you think about pain and when you think about your mental state, sometimes we don't think about how it affects our bodies and the chemical / emotional imbalance that it brings us when we think negatively. So there is, the book mentions these instinctive responses could be considered primordial forms of emotion. In certain situations, human beings experience instinctive responses in the same way animals do. In the face of danger, when the survival of the organism is threatened, the heart beats faster, the muscles contract, breathing becomes rapid in preparation for fight or flight. Primordial fear, when being cornered, a sudden flare-up of intense energy. It gives strength to the body that it didn't have before. Primordial anger. These instinctive responses appear akin to emotions, but are not emotions in the true sense of the word. So what the author is getting ready to do, he's getting ready to dive in to instinctive primordial responses and emotional state. So because primordial states happen when your mind senses danger, and then your body responds accordingly. He's drawing a distinction between that and just living or being and thinking I am happy, right? So two different states of emotion. Indirectly, an emotion can also be a response to an actual situation. Excuse me. Indirectly, an emotion can be also can also be a response to an actual situation or event, but it will be a response to the event seen through the filter of mental interpretation, the filter of thought. That is to say, through mental concepts of good and bad, like and dislike, me and mine. In other words, we talk about auto-suggestion box and brainwashing ourselves to see the world in a flowery type of way, so that when things come through our filter, we interpret it positively, whether it's bad or good. And then that allows us, I'm not going to say it allows us to, but for me, it allows me to see things with a more sound mind rather than emotional response. And then those things that really come through that are like half flowers, half mud, like you have the true decision to respond honestly and candidly. So, if something offends you, stand up for yourself, and make that decision. So to the body, a worrisome, fearful thought means I am in danger, and it responds accordingly, even though you may be lying in a warm and comfortable bed at night. The heart beats faster, muscles contract, breathing becomes rapid. There is a buildup of energy, but since the danger is only a mental fiction, the energy has no outlet. Part of it is fed back to the mind and generates even more anxious thought. The rest of the energy turns toxic and interferes with the harmonious function of the body. So being and living a positive life does help, for multitude of reasons. It brings you more mental peace. It also, and I'm speaking from experience, it brings you more mental peace, to live in a state of gratitude at all times and know that you are, and to know that, to live in a state of gratitude at all times and to know that you are in good health at all times, brings about so much peace within. And on the opposite side of that, to live a fearful and a worrisome life where you're always stressing about something, you're always concerned about something, finances, people, relationships, judgments, personal perspective, whatever it may be, all that stress gets ingested. And when you ingest it, it starts to toxify your body and becomes very toxic for your health. And that disrupts the whole homeostasis of, being. The emotional component of ego differs from person to person. So now what the author is talking is what he's connecting is emotions and the ego. In some egos, it is greater than in others. Thoughts that trigger emotional responses in the body may sometimes come so fast that before the mind has had time to voice them, the body has already responded with an emotion, and the emotion has turned into a reaction. Those thoughts exist at a pre-verbal stage and could be called unspoken, unconscious assumptions. They have their origin in the person's past conditioning, usually from a childhood. People cannot be trusted would be an example of the unconscious assumption in a person whose primordial relationships, that is to say, with parents or siblings, were not supported and did not inspire trust. So, in other words, your thoughts are so powerful that before the moment that you think them, it takes over your, like, imagine like a tree. So I don't know if everybody or anybody knows trees too well, but when trees start to get like these green vines wrapped around them, the vines suffocate the tree. And it pretty much is killing the tree, right? As it stands. The body is so fast. It's like injecting something into you. Thoughts trigger emotional responses to your body so quickly that your body then responds. And then when it responds, it's pretty much, okay, like thought action done. Thought action done. Thought action done. And it may be an irrational response where it's like something where you're harming somebody else, right? You don't even think, but in a second, just that one thought that you had triggers the body to respond. That is some powerful stuff, you guys, especially if we're doing it and we're triggering on a negative emotion or a negative place. But on a positive place, it really, really goes to show how powerful we really are. Because when we're manifesting, our manifestations are pretty much conjunction with our thoughts and the way we feel. So with those three things in mind, thoughts, emotional, and execution or some type of production, that's the formula to creating the reality that you wish to live. And not only that, now we're getting back into understanding, okay, ego and emotion. Our thoughts are dictated and influenced by past experiences. So when we were children, the book is suggesting that we let go of our past experiences. We let go of who we used to be. And when we do that, then our thoughts today, the power of now, our thoughts are created, okay, because you could change your mind at any point in time. If you were doing something, you're on the journey, you're like, hey, I wanted to do this for a career. At any moment, you could switch your thought, boom. And then that instant response from your thought to your emotions to execution, you can go ahead and do that. I remember when I went and quit a job right before I went full-time into real estate, and I woke up one day and I said, you know what, today's my last day here. And I listened to some what's his name, what's my man's name, Eric Thomas. I had Eric Thomas in my ears. I was walking, I parked my car all the way in the back of the parking lot, and I was walking and I was listening there. I was like, oh, today's the day. I'm going to quit my job. And I walked in and I was just like, I quit pretty much. I stayed and finished my shift, but I was just like, okay, like I've grown past this space. It's time for me to evolve to the next level. So my point here is at any point in time, you get to change your mind. At any point in time, you decide when anything that has carried over year after year, any thoughts that has carried year after year, any perceptions that have came or have been there year after year with you internally. At any point in time, you choose when you get to cut those things off. And so these fear-based thoughts, like, people cannot be trusted. You cannot trust men. You cannot trust women. You cannot trust people. That ideology stems from somewhere way deeper than just now. And yes, we may experience times, I recently have, when people may break your trust and take your kindness for weakness. But the thing is not everybody operates on that plane. And what it does is every time somebody breaks your trust or, takes your kindness for weakness, just for example, it really goes to show, it's like a mirror, and it turns around, it shows you, it's like, okay, hey, you were really nice about this. Maybe on the next go around with somebody else, maybe you'll have one more additional filter to make sure that it doesn't get this far into the process before you realize that this person may or may not be taking advantage of you. That's a thought. And so, nonetheless, when you're connecting emotion and ego, you start to have thoughts like, I need to fight to survive. There is never enough money. Life always lets you down. I don't deserve abundance. I deserve love. Unconscious assumptions create emotions in the body, which in turn generate mind activity and instant reactions. In this way, they create your personal reality. There it is right there, manifestation. Everyone out there deserves to be rich in emotion and financially, in self-perception, in the people they have around them. Everyone deserves it. Everyone, period. That is the default button. When you press reset, it takes you back to the place of greatness that you were born or meant to be or meant to have, period. So any other thought is an unconscious thought. I don't deserve abundance. That's a ridiculous thing to say. I don't deserve gratification. I don't deserve praise. I don't deserve peace of mind. I don't deserve financial success. All of those things. I don't deserve to have anyone. All of those things. I mean, at the end of the day, it's totally up to the person and the individual. But when you press that, in my mind, when I press the default button, I deserve everything and more, period. And when you have those thoughts or those reactions of, oh, I don't deserve, or I don't wish to, well, because I don't wish to is a different thing, because you're making a declaration to what you don't want to have, which is cool. But when we're talking about like living the life and having freedom, being financially free, again, money isn't everything, but it sure does help get through life. And so, anything that you could think of, if it's on the opposite end of, oh, I don't deserve this, or I shouldn't have this, those things, then those thoughts, not those things, those thoughts start to control, and they dictate what your reality is going to be like and what you're going to experience. And then eventually they become your natural state of mind. So being in awareness and being in enlightenment allows us to stop, to think, pay attention to our thoughts, see where we are, and then change right now. Change right now. You don't have any money in your bank account? Start assuming the feeling that you're rich and watch how your life changes. Watch how your life changes. It changes, you guys. I'm telling you, it changes overnight. You need pause. Let me take it. It changes overnight. When I say it changes overnight, your feeling about yourself, your confidence, everything about you changes, because you don't need the money there. You don't need to have the money in the account. You're assuming it's there. It's not there. Pause. You don't see it, the numbers reflecting the emotional feeling that you have within yourself. You know it's here. You feel it is here. But when you look in your bank account, it's a totally different story. But what's so beautiful about that is you're not living a fictional or a unrealistic reality. BS. What you're living is you're living your emotional experience of having, of being in gratitude of having it. And then what the universe does is it works, and it turns. And it turns and it turns and it turns. And then slowly, it comes and it drops a care package right in your lap. And then you're like, wow, how nice is this? Thank you. I'm so grateful. The greater thing about it is the thing I just received doesn't define me, doesn't make me who I am. And then you get into a higher level of consciousness. It's pretty amazing. Almost every human body is under a great deal of strain or stress. not because it is threatened by some external factor, but within the mind. The body has an ego attached to it, and it cannot but respond to all dysfunctional thought patterns that make up the ego. So to walk through life, worried about this or worried about that, is a lot more stressful than just being like, damn, today's a really good day and everybody in the world is wonderful. Like, that thought feels so much better than anything else that I could possibly negatively think about. And then just living and being, and those two things being aligned, truly aligned, and then walking through life just makes for a way better experience, in my opinion. So what is negative emotion? An emotion that is toxic to the body and interferes with its balance of harmonious functioning. Simple point. Your emotional and your thoughts dictate how your body feels. So your body responds to these things. So if you keep, it's like if you ingest a bunch of negative material, like reading, writing, whatever it may be, people, experiences, and you keep having these negative occurrences over and over and over. And that's kind of even an interesting discussion, because when I think about it, it's like, okay, well, you're putting a label on what is negative. But then again, how do you know if it's negative and you're interpreting it? Well, you have to look at the way you feel, the thoughts that you had that stem from these experiences or this material or this information that you're receiving. But when you ingest that stuff, or these negative things, quote unquote negative, and you have these experiences, they cause disruption to your body. Simple point. An emotion that does harm to the body also infects the people you come in contact with, and indirectly, through a process of chain reactions, countless others you never meet. There is a generic term for all negative emotions: unhappiness. Do positive emotions then have the opposite effect on the physical body? Do they strengthen the immune system, invigorate and heal the body? They do. They do. Your thoughts can heal your body. Your thoughts can ruin your body. Your thoughts can make you live the best possible life on this earth, everything that you deserve at your hands. Or your thoughts can disrupt, dysfunctionally infect everything around you and make you live the most suffersome life that you can ever experience. But we need to differentiate between positive emotions that are ego-generated and deeper emotions that emanate from your natural state of connectedness with being. Positive emotions are generated by the ego, already contained within themselves their opposite, into which they can quickly turn. Here are some examples. What the ego calls love is possessiveness and addictive clinging that can turn into hate within a second. Woo, that's deep. Okay, so what he's saying is, as fast as you can positively think about your experience and manifest and do these things, right, is the same exact moment that you could become. So, for example, what he said in the example is the same exact moment that everything can flip to its opposite. That's what he said, right? I'm in love with a woman. That woman loves me too. And then I really become in love with that woman. And I become possessive and controlling over her. And I say, you can't go anywhere. You have to stay at home. And then she starts responding a certain way. And then when she responds to me a certain way, then I respond to her a certain way. And then the whole situation just crumbles into pieces and everybody's unhappy. How do you go from being in love to hating each other's guts and coming out of a very traumatic experience potentially, right? Or relationship. Those are the opposite ends: surface-driven emotion or the deep inner workings of being happy. Okay, so that's the first version, right? Versus the deeper inner being. Anticipation about an upcoming event, which is ego's over-evaluation of future, easily turns into the opposite: letdown or disappointment. Okay, the pleasure. Okay, ego-generated emotions. Ego-generated emotions are derived from the mind's identification with external factors, which are, of course, all unstable and liable to change at any moment. So I go out, I party, I drink. I'm super excited. I'm super happy. But then what happens? You wake up the next morning and you're like, oh my God, I'm never going to drink again because I feel like crap. But you end up doing it anyway. So you have this pleasure. It's ego-driven pleasure or positive state. And then on the opposite, you experience an opposite state on the other end, which is usually something that is more corruptive to your body. The deeper emotions, which is the opposite side of this egoic-driven positive state, the deeper emotions are not really emotions at all, but states of being. Emotions exist within the realm of opposites, right? Go out, drink, wake up the next morning, you feel like a can. You go out, drink, you feel like a can the next morning. And then, that's funny. And then the actual state of being, right? States of being can be obscured, but they have no opposites. They emanate from within you as love, joy, and peace that are aspects of your true nature. I don't know if it's justification to how great us as people really are. Our natural states are love, peace, and joy. That is our natural state. That is our being, period. If we can attach to that, and that's what God is, that's what the universe is. If we can attach ourselves to that natural state of being at all times, we will live we will continue to live the most prosperous lives. Anything outside of that realm as a threshold for comparison, right? If you're not in a peaceful, joyous, or loving state, if you're not in that state in your thoughts, when you stop and you have an experience, and you're not in that state, that's a good indication of realization that something else is happening to you. And then you got to pull yourself back into your natural state. And these are like inherent hereditary states, I believe, that we're all blessed with. Even the meanest of mean people out there, they all have that as their fundamental underlinement of being a human. That is the atom that they stem from. And then everything else along the way kind of just shapes their perspective to be this way or that way. And to end our discussion today, we talk about the duck with a human mind and how interesting that would be. So 2 ducks fight, right? 2 ducks fight. The author says 2 ducks fight in a pond, and they're going at it, right? Pulling feathers out, doing all these crazy things. And then seemingly everything ends. And the ducks are both back in the water, and they give one more flare of the flap of the wings, like almost as to release the energy of the fight, the rest of the energy off, shake it off, right? And then they go streaming down the pond, just like nothing had happened. And if it was a human experience, if it was a duck in a human's mind, it would be something totally different. If you had 2 humans that were to fight, they would fight, but then they would leave, right? They'd leave the situation, potentially one not in an ambulance, or one in an ambulance, or badly injured or dead or what have you. And then the stream of thoughts that come immediately after that are thoughts of, oh, that was a close one. Oh, let me see. Let me give you exact words here because they're pretty powerful. I'll teach him a lesson he won't forget. And on and on and on. The mind spins its tales, still thinking and talking about it days, months, years later. As far as the body is concerned, the fight is still continuing, and the energy it generates in response to all those thoughts is emotions, which turns and generates some more thinking. This becomes the emotional thinking of the ego. You can see how problematic the duck's life would become if it had a human mind. But this is how most humans live all the time. No situation or event is really ever finished. The mind and the mind made, me and my story, keep it going. So we are species. This is very interesting. As much as I don't want to admit it, we are species that have that has lost its way. Everything natural, every flower or tree, and every animal have important lessons to teach us if we would only stop, look, and listen. I was walking, where was I? I think I was driving the other day. And last week I was able to go on 2 walks with my wife. And we went on 2 walks together at the park. One was to a restaurant, which was pretty interesting because then after we ate, we walked back. So it was like a good exercise to kind of burn off the energy, in the PM. But then we went on a walk at the park. And I was just, the state of just being, like there was nothing really else needed. And it like I was looking at all the trees and I was looking at like how green they were and all the bushes and all the details of everything, people. And it was just so interesting just to be there in that moment. There wasn't, and I don't know, it just was like there was a deep sense of gratitude, just like beautifully, like just looking at nature, something I haven't done in a really long time. And if you haven't went on a walk lately, go on a walk. Like when I walked, we probably walked 5 miles for the first journey. And then I just thought to myself, I'm like, damn, I never walk anywhere. The furthest I walk is when I go to a store and I park all the way in the back of the parking lot and then walk to the front door. And then obviously jumping out of my car to go to different meetings and do this, that, and the other. But for the most part, I don't walk anywhere. And I was just thinking like, dang, man, when I was younger in high school, I always was walking before I had a car. And then when I got a car, obviously I started driving. But there's something about walking that just is kind of cool. It just allows you to release this energy. So even if it's just a walk around the block, or driving to a lake and parking and just going on a walk, like something so simple, I mean, really brings so much joy. So I would encourage it. I really would. But my point here is, all right, stop and smell the roses, right? Stop and smell the rose. Stop and smell the rose, and then let things go. The whole example of the duck. You guys, if you get in a fight or some type of external or internal controversy, let it go. Let it go. Release it. Shake it off. Don't let that energy carry into the rest of your day. Don't let that energy carry into the rest of your life. It's not worth it. There's so much time to live on earth. Why spend any second of it, experiencing or having this stress on your shoulders? And it's something I remind myself of every single day. All right, so to depart, feel free to read after me or say after me. This is my life. I am aware. I take full responsibility for my reality and thoughts. I recognize I have the power to manifest the best possible life. A life of wealth, love, and peace. I truly believe I have 0 limitations. I trust my instincts, God, and universe. I am ready to transcend. I have arrived, and so it is. Thank you, everybody who jumped on the journey to greatness with me this morning. All the people who jumped on the messenger board, good morning. Thank you for joining me. Day 225 of 365 with David McDonald, the GOAT. I will see you guys tomorrow. I hope you all have the best day of your lives. I love you all. And there's one more thing I'm going to say. I received a gift, macaroons. And to the lovely person out there who sent them to me and the card, thank you. That was great encouragement for me. You don't, when I wake up every morning, I don't do it with an intention to, again, to see how many people are going to be impacted by, the journey to greatness. It makes me happy to know that the group is growing, and it makes me more happy that, in this note that I received, the person said, thank you. I'm getting more, essentially, I'm getting more and more into just in believing and trusting myself and my body, like all things that have been coming to me. And I think that is wonderful. That is so beautiful. It's not a direct credit to me by any stretch of the imagination, because it's you. It's everyone out there who makes the conscious decision to take the step into enlightenment or take the step into themselves. That's what makes this experience so beautiful. And so it does give me encouragement. I'm thankful. Thank you. The macaroons were awesome. And I will see you guys all tomorrow at 5 a.m. I appreciate you all. See ya.